You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, covering down on all the issues. And yeah, like that dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to Thursday, which we don't refer to as Thursday around here because it makes boomers sad. It's his least favorite day. Oh, did you?
I just had to do that.
We prefer to call it we prefer to call it Friday Eve.
Friday Eve is much better than Thursday.
Friday Eve. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hey,
making it.
I didn't even ask. Did little man have a game last night?
No game last night. He has the first bracket game tonight.
Oh, they're
bracket gaming now.
Well, are they going to play teams they haven't played in the bracket, or is it what just happened?
No, I believe like what he did was they played a couple teams earlier this week to place them where they should be in the bracket, and then
I imagine I know where his team is in the bracket.
And then so we're gonna play, and then if he wins, he plays again tomorrow.
They've been doing the boot scoot and boogie on everybody who comes on the field.
That's right.
Oh, awesome! All right, well, good.
Thanks.
All right. Hey, we got a great show laid on for you. By the way, today is the day when we typically do Boomer and McQueen. I say typically. Typically. Except, full disclosure to the world, McQueen is a former Division I athlete. She was a gymnast at Alabama, and she has committed to 3, what do we call them?
They're like camps. So they're
coaching camps.
Coaching camps and camps for young athletes, and she gets to go and help coach some, which is pretty awesome for her.
Very awesome for those kids. So anyway, so we miss having her around for 3 Boomer and McQueen, so we've gotten a special guest each time. Should I announce the guest right now or let it wait?
I don't know. Maybe let it simmer for a little bit.
So one time it was Boomer and Butters.
That's right.
Then we reached out to the audience, and we had Boomer and Lee from Huntsville.
Yes.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
Okay, go on.
Today, I'm pretty stoked about this. Today, we decided, pick one. It's going to be Boomer and Sparky from Harvest.
Yes. I'm
digging it. So, yeah, I'm pretty stoked. So, Sparky's going to be joining us, and we'll do the Boomer and segment at 3:30. And then at 4 o'clock, Dale Jackson's calling in. He and I are going to have a conversation about the weaponization of government, and I'll get his thoughts. And I'm pretty sure he wants to talk about alligators, too. So, we'll let that be a part of the thing if he needs to. And then I got a whole triple dipper, so hit it, bud.
The Triple Dipper. 3 stories you've got to know.
That's right, the Triple Dipper, 3 stories, 3 themes, if you will, that you got to know as we run today's show. First out the gate, race baiters and charlatans. It amazes me, man. And listen, my monologue's going to talk about this more in a minute, but it amazes me that in this country, they will consistently, the liberals will, berate you. You are a racist. I didn't know I was a racist. Well, you are. Why am I a racist? Well, because you're just privileged. How am I privileged? Well, you have things. What do I have? Listen, they're going to tell you over and over again that things are what they are just because they say they are. You know why? Because they're race baiters and charlatans. That's why. That's number 1, Triple Dipper. We'll cover down on some stories on it and talk it through. Number 2, there is a disturbing trend that is not just out there somewhere else. It's also here. I'm calling this section the sanctity of life. Have you seen the trend towards euthanasia, or the fancy word medically assisted end of life? What? Yes. It's not just, by the way, people who are terminally ill. I've got stories that'll curl your hair about mentally ill and autism, people who are depressed, and euthanasia is the option being given to them by their government. All right, we'll talk about it. The sanctity of life, number 2 on the Triple Dipper. And then number 3, I mentioned a moment ago, Dale Jackson will be calling in, and I'll be also talking through several articles I've got. The weaponization of government. Right now in D.C., the weaponization of government subcommittee of House Judiciary has been meeting the last few days. They had the FBI director there yesterday. It's an amazing series of stories, but I'm going to give you some real-life facts, things that we know happened, and they have yet to fully explain. So yeah, weaponization of government, that's number 3 on the Triple Dipper. All right, let me move over to my comments, my opening monologue here. So it's day 4 of movie week. That's what we decided to call it. It's movie week. Every day this week, I've been doing my monologues with movies as the backdrop. Movies that paint a picture, tell a story, but more than that, they make a point. So far this week, I've used The Patriot, Gladiator, and Top Gun Maverick. Today, I'm going down a road that only one movie I can think of can fully make the point for me. So today, I'm digging in on Remember the Titans. What an amazing movie, man. I still remember seeing it for the first time. I remember talking with friends about it. I can remember walking away from that movie thinking, that is what America is all about. Now, some would say that Remember the Titans is a movie about racism. I would say it's not. Racism is certainly in the plot lines. And to be clear, yes, I understand that racism exists in this world. I'm not a denier of that fact. But that movie, Remember the Titans, is not about racism. It's really about the fact that we live in a nation where we transcend skin color, where we decide on our own who we are. Unlike the vast majority of this earth in America, we have the actual right, a constitutional right, to freely associate. No one tells us who we are or who we can associate with. That's our right. I had an experience once when I was in the state Senate. Some folks had attempted to drive a wedge between me and one of the chambers of commerce in my district, and it got pretty ugly. Facebook rumors, folks out there who wanted a division, and they were doing all they could to stoke it. So I called a meeting with the full chamber, and I took the podium. I thanked them all for coming, and then I looked at them, and I said, nobody tells me what my relationships are. I tell you what my relationships are. And then I told them how much I appreciated their work, and I set the tone for doing some more work that the naysayers didn't want to see happen. And we got some good stuff done after that. But that's the deal, man. Freedom of association is not really free if you give it away to those who want to see your associations fail. Only you can speak for you. So Remember the Titans is a true story. It takes place during the turbulent years of 1971. It's the era of civil rights, Vietnam, cultural upheaval. In the middle of all of it, schools have been force integrated. And yes, racial tensions were high. And the movie's based on events surrounding the integration of T.C. Williams High School in Alexandria, Virginia. 2 great coaches, a black man named Herman Boone, played by Denzel Washington, and a white man named Bill Yost, played by Will Patton. They're forced to come from different programs, and once the integration takes place, Coach Boone, the black man, is made the head coach, and the award-winning white coach, Coach Yost, is made the assistant coach. And there were parents who were irate, and it trickled down through the players. And it was tense, to say the least. And right away, the players and the coaches, they went off to summer camp together at Gettysburg College. And there were fights, and there was self-segregating where they wouldn't sit next to each other in the dining hall. They didn't take kindly to Coach Boone making white and black players share rooms. And then he made them learn everything they could about a member of the other race on the team and give a speech about who that person was and what they learned. And they practiced, and they fought, and they refused to be a team because they had been raised in such a way that they were told what their associations were supposed to be. They were told, here's what you will think about those kind of people. But aside from the coaches, the 2 main characters in the movie were the 2 team leaders, one black and one white. Julius Campbell was the black guy, and Gary Bertier was the white guy. And both were stellar athletes. Both were linebackers. Bertier was an All-American and the team captain, and they couldn't stand each other at first. At one point, Bertier accused Campbell of having an attitude, to which Campbell looked at him and said, attitude reflects leadership, Captain. And then Coach Boone rousted the team up out of bed at 3 a.m. one morning during camp. Took them on a cross-country run, slogging their way through trails and creeks until the sun came up on a misty Pennsylvania morning and the team found themselves near an old cemetery. Sweating and heaving and mad, they came to a stop, and Coach Boone looked at them and gave them a speech. This is what he said. He said, anybody know what this place is? This is Gettysburg. This is where they fought the Battle of Gettysburg. 50,000 men right here on this field fighting the same fight that we're still fighting amongst ourselves today. This green field right here was painted red, bubbling with the blood of young boys. Smoke and hot lead pouring right through their bodies. Listen to their souls, man. I killed my brother with malice in my heart. Hatred destroyed my family. You listen and take a lesson from the dead. If we don't come together right now on this hallowed ground, we too will be destroyed just like they were. I don't care if you don't like each other, but you will respect each other. I don't know. Maybe we'll learn to play this game like men. It was after that moment that a change began to take place. They had been set free. They were told that they were allowed to associate based upon who they wanted to associate with, not who they were told to associate with. And when they came back home to the same old, they found that other students didn't get it, and friendships were severed, and dating relationships broke up, and townspeople were suspicious. But the players, they had already discovered they could see past that. They could. And they could play together as a team, a highly effective team that came out of nowhere and ran those fields like scalded dogs. And there were plots that were hatched by naysayers who wanted it all to fail, but they still played, and they played well. So well, in fact, they had a miracle season going 13-0, won the state championship as a team. At one of the pivotal moments in the big game, Coach Yost, the white coach, he told the team in the locker room, "You've taught this city how to trust the soul of a man rather than the look of him." Well, it was 52 years ago this summer that those boys went to camp together and came back changed. In real life, Coach Boone and Coach Yost, they became the best of friends. They coached for many years together, remained friends in retirement. The two players, Julius Campbell and Gary Bertier, they also became the best of friends. They remained so well past high school. Denzel Washington said of the movie, Remember the Titans, he said, "I don't think it's a football movie. I think it's a movie about the potential of the human spirit." Now, this is me talking, all right? You, all of us, we've all been told that systemic racism is pervasive in the United States. We've all been told this nation was built on the backs of slavery. We've all been told that the critical theory of race is that we're either born an oppressor or an oppressed by virtue of our skin color. You've been told that hate is the order of the day and that the chance to succeed depends on how you look and not who you are. And those are lies from the pit of hell. The world is a better place because this country exists. No nation has done more in this world to abolish slavery and to set aside differences in the United States of America. We haven't just acted in that regard, we have led in that regard. And we've had our problems, and we will have more. You show me the perfect nation, though, it doesn't exist. But you ask me for a good nation, and I'll show you America. We are that place where no one, not anyone, can tell you who your associations are. We are a nation that transcends differences. And like the quote says at the end of the movie, we have our disagreements, of course, but before we reach for hate, always, we remember the Titans. And that's a wrap for the Right Side Way. I'm going to tell you, man, I think that the more I thought about it, that movie was not just about racism. Racism was the plot line in the background. The full-on point of that movie was, ain't nobody can speak for you. Only you speak for you. Nobody can tell you who you associate with. You set the tone for your relationships. And that's the freedom that we have as a part of our Constitution, the freedom to associate. All right, folks, Phil Williams, Right Side Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative and just plain right. Saving the world one soundbite at a time. Boomer, remember the Titans? Is that one of your?
Of course. Come on.
What red-blooded American male could not like Remember the Titans? Movie will tear you up too.
That's right.
I didn't give away stuff in case somebody out there hadn't seen it. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, if you have not seen that movie, I may be questioning your patriotism right now.
Left side, strong side.
That's it. That's it. Got several text messages already. We'll see what we got here. Brian from Huntsville says, sounds like Tears of the Sun might be another movie with a similar print. That was a great movie. Tears of the Sun. Wow, great movie. That was a classic Bruce Willis. Cole Hauser was in that too. I like Cole Hauser. Anyway, good flick. What else we got here? Racing from Hawaii is talking about little man's baseball. It says, Brother Boomer's got a Brooks and Dunn future All-Star Hall of Famer.
Like it.
Bryant from Huntsville says, did y'all know that Coach Yost is from Florence, Alabama? I did not know that. Coach Yost is from Florence, Alabama. I didn't know that.
Coach Yost.
How about that? That's very cool. I love the Alabama connections. Big Dave from Woodstock, Alabama, just texted in. He said, "Sunshine." That was from the movie.
Sunshine.
You gotta. So if you haven't seen it, you're not gonna get the jokes. I feel bad for you right now. If you're out
maybe
there,
they'll go see it.
Yeah,
You can probably pull it up on anything.
I would think so by now. I mean, the movie came out. It came out in 2000
years ago, right?
Yeah. Yep. Jeremy from Huntsville. Oh, see, here we go. Wow, never seen the movie, but I'm very impressed with your monologue. Great job. Well, Brother Jeremy, here's your homework, man. You've got to go see Remember the Titans. It is absolutely just a great flick. And by the way, it's not at all just like, if your wife doesn't like shoot 'em up flicks or whatever else, this will still work. It's got everything in it. It's all good. What do we got? What? Let's see here. John from Huntsville. Oh, by the way, John from Huntsville gave me a C yesterday. Did you know that?
No, but he upgraded it.
That's what I was about to say.
Oh,
At the very
he
end,
upgraded it.
Too late in the day for me to find out that I got extra points for doing that mini dipper yesterday at the very end. He goes, "Hey Phil, I wanted you to know I enjoyed that short but powerful mini dipper at the end of the show. Thank you, John." So I gave you an ample supply of extra credit points. I know, and it brought my grade up to an A-. That's great. Says also, I think you ought to have at least one mini dipper ready and prepared just in case. Says, in fact, I've already got you a mini dipper prepared. It's titled "No Name for Cocaine." He's spot on, man.
That's very true.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later on, I'm sure. Tony from Piedmont, batting 1,000 this week. He says, been thinking Jeremiah. See, what did I tell you, Jeremiah Johnson? I told you yesterday.
Yes, you did.
Boomer has not seen Jeremiah Johnson.
That is one thing I have not seen.
That for years was my favorite movie, like of all time, Jeremiah Johnson. The way that you wander is the way that you choose.
Dances with Wolves, though.
Okay, Dances with Wolves is good. It is. By the way, I have a theory.
How many Dances with Wolves movies are there?
We've talked about that.
Yes, we have.
We have. Avatar, Dances with Wolves in Outer Space. Last Samurai, Dances with Wolves in Japan.
Yes.
It's everywhere. Just Dances with Wolves set the standard for, sort of like going native and then fighting back against your own people, and that's the true story. And yeah, okay. And then what do we have here? Leisha from Athens. Is she new in the text line? She sure is. Remember the Titans is one of my favorite movies. I agree, it's not just about football. It's about the human spirit and brotherhood. This should be a mandatory for all students. It will change a person's heart. See? Thank you, Lisha. Is it Lisha or Leisha? I can't tell. But anyway, we're glad to have you in the text string. All right, we're there. Time for a break. We'll take the break. We'll come right back. We're jumping into, what a great segue, too, off of that monologue, to jump into the first dipper, race baiters and charlatans. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Covering down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful state in the nation. And I'm talking about Alabama. I mean, this show sends its signal like so far on down south of Birmingham and up north of Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, all the way back over to Gadsden, parts of Georgia, Tennessee, and Mississippi thrown in just for good measure. Hey, listen, we're gonna kick off in here 1 second with the next dipper. I do have a couple more text messages. AJ from Nyota, Alabama. AJ said, "Attitude reflects leadership. Best line of Remember the Titans." That was a good one. So yeah, thanks very much, AJ, for listening in. So yeah, that movie was about more than racism, in my opinion. But what I'm going to go into right now are the people who are out there trying to change the narrative to make us racist when we're not. I mean, it's one thing to say racism exists. Let's make sure it doesn't ever rise up and gain control again. I'm with you. Racism's bad. I'm with you. Racism shouldn't be allowed. I'm with you. Racism is systemic, and all of you are racist if you're born with a certain skin color. I'm not with you. You lost me right there. Well, it's systemic everywhere we look. No, it's really not. It's not. Well, we need affirmative action. No, you really don't. You don't. Well, we need to give things to people so they feel like they've got an equitable share. No, you really, really freaking don't. You just don't. How about this? First story out the gate. So right now, Tommy Tuberville, by the way, is taking some serious heat. Y'all, listen, I'll be honest with you. I appreciate Senator Tuberville's stance. And if you think for a second that he is doing what the left is saying and somehow emasculating the government or the DOD, you would be wrong. There is nothing about what he's doing right now, by the way, that hasn't been done by Democrats in the past. They just can't stand it because he has the ability to stand up under their withering fire. I mean, right now, the man is taking heat like nobody's business. What is he doing? He's merely saying, hey, all of you that want to get promoted to general or admiral or a higher rank within the flag, the flag branch or flag ranks, we're not going to let that just be an easy pass. He's not blocking them. He's telling them that they have to go through the regular order of business. Because what they usually do is they'll come in with a whole stack of them and they'll say, okay, on today, we're going to go ahead and dispense with the regular order of business, and all in favor say aye, aye, okay, all in favor of approving these confirmations, aye, aye, okay, thank you, everybody's a new general. Bam, move on. That's the courtesy way of doing it, where they dispense with the regular order of business. No, but the regular order of business is each individual one is supposed to be confirmed by the Senate after having their own hearing and being reviewed individually. Well, that makes them mad because they want to get it done quick. Well, he's saying, you know what? I'm not going to help you out. I'm not going to help you with the quick if you're going to keep on using federal dollars to do abortions and put all this wokeness on our military. Stop it. Change your policies, DOD. Change your policies, and then I'll do it. They don't want to. So what's happening right now, one of the things that's before the Senate, because Senate does confirmations, one of the things that's before the Senate is the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. General Milley's retiring. And General C.Q. Brown, Air Force general, who's been the chief of staff of the Air Force for a period of time, he is the nomination by the Biden administration. Well, that should give you pause. Who's Biden going to nominate? Probably somebody that Biden believes will toe the Biden line, right? President Biden's nominee to be the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs seems to have admitted to engaging in racist staffing and promotion practices. Story on Red State dated yesterday. It says a government transparency group on Monday asked the Air Force to open a probe into General Charles Q. Brown, C.Q. Brown, who President Joe Biden recently nominated to fill the U.S. top military post for potential illegal racial discrimination. What? Yes, that's the allegation. But it's an allegation because, not because somebody said it happened, because he said it happened. While serving as the Air Force's chief of staff and before that as the Pacific Air Force commander, Brown made statements suggesting that he selects individuals for certain roles and promotions based on their race to build purposely diverse organizations. All right. Those of y'all that have been in the military know, those of you that have not been in the military could probably imagine, the military is supposed to be a meritocracy, meaning you earn the right for promotion. And it is your skills and your experiences and your leadership capabilities that move you to the next level. Who best to fight and win the wars? The person most qualified or the one that was selected to make the ranks more diverse? And by the way, I am not advocating if every member of the military to win the war just so happened to be black, I could care less as long as they win the war. If every member of the military just wound up happening to be Asian, if every paratrooper was Asian, if every F-16 pilot was white, if every artillery officer was black, I don't care. As long as they're the most qualified and competent individuals for the job. And the lead position in our military is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He will set the tone. And this particular one, here's his quote from 2020. He said, "I purposely build my office, my front office, and my team with diversity. And I hire for diversity because they all bring a different perspective." Yeah, okay. Well, this particular article from Red State says, "The military is like no other institution in the country. Not only does it function best as a meritocracy, it must function as a meritocracy. Nothing matters more than the mission. We need cohesion, and staffing decisions using any criteria other than skills, qualification, and leadership will get service members killed and lose wars." So yes, race baiters and charlatans, sometimes they're in uniform. And what I don't want to see happen is wokeness being promoted so that other people can't get promoted. All right, that's one. That's just one example. When I say race baiters and charlatans, they're everywhere. But how about this one? This one caught my attention. PJ Media has a story that came out, I think, last Friday. PJ Media, a woke doctor suggests that body cams should be on physicians because of rampant racism. So first of all, apparently this doctor does not understand HIPAA. You know, the whole privacy law thing that says your medical records and what happens with you and your doctor is supposed to be confidential, right? The editorial is by a doctor named Amanda Joy Calhoun that was running the Boston Globe. Headline, "What if doctors wore body cameras?" The subheadline is even more provocative. "Black people face racism and worse health outcomes in hospitals, and it's time to document it." Without providing any proof, she goes on to talk about how her mission in life is to make sure that this is made known. Wait a minute. What's her bio? Who is she? She professes to be an adult and child psychiatry resident at Yale School of Medicine. And then she goes on to say she is an expert in the mental health effects of anti-black racism with a focus on medical racism. Oh, let me get this straight. So you wrote an op-ed about pervasive systemic racism while also touting yourself as an expert on pervasive systemic racism. So what you're saying is, I'm trying to prove that I am an expert because I can show you what no one else can show you. That's what's happening. But yeah, she cites some statistics, and they may be true, but they don't relate to true proof of healthcare problems. She cites statistics saying that black women are more likely to die in childbirth, regardless of socioeconomic status. That black children are more likely to be physically restrained, that black infants are more likely to survive when cared for by black physicians. She cites no credible criteria to say these things are true. And while they are sad, even if they were true, they don't prove that doctors are discriminating. We don't know the status behind each patient's categories. And then it goes on to say at the very end, "Oh, Dr. Calhoun." I love the way it ended. "Oh, Dr. Calhoun, you're so brave to agree to be the first doctor to wear a body camera. But I can't help but think that you need to do a better job of proving your point than with some stories. If the medical establishment is as rife with racism as you claim, then prove it. Then others might listen." Race baiters and charlatans, they are everywhere. Not the least of which, by the way, Boomer, you ever used a Ring doorbell?
We don't personally have one, but my best friend does.
Yeah, we're actually about to. But, I mean, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
They can be creepy, but they're pretty cool. Don't put them inside your house. Well, you need a doorbell inside your house, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Ring cameras inside your house, strange things can happen. Ring cameras outside your house, I'm all for it.
Yes.
Okay. They're racist.
Oh, they are. Okay, I didn't know where you're going with it. They're racist.
You got to start turning the camera on.
Come on.
All right, so yeah, Wired Magazine. Wired Magazine. You know, they're supposed to be like experts in all things electronic. Wired Magazine wants you to know that Ring cameras are racist, so you shouldn't buy them. The author here on hotair.com, article came out just a couple of days ago, says racism never struck me as a problem till I read this article. And given that Wired's big problem seems to be that Ring features include a camera, is basically the problem. And they also say that Ring, if you sign up for it, you can use a thing called the Neighbors service, where you can link cameras and you can I guess anyway, but that it also can alert the police. Well, then it goes on to cite statistics that in some cases more black people are arrested than white people. I don't think that's the issue. The issue is, did the Ring camera see them steal a box off your porch? Whatever color their skin may be. Did they steal your Amazon package? That's what matters.
Correct.
No.
No.
The fact that it might call the police is racist. Because, police are racist.
Man.
So if the Ring is calling the police, then the Ring is, by nature, by default, racist.
As well.
Yeah.
Wow.
It just never ends, does it? Wired's real problem is that Ring cameras might catch criminals in the act, which they do, and they fear that a disproportionate number of criminals caught on camera will be black. The San Francisco Police Department quit publishing most mugshots due to the belief that letting people see the criminals was racist. And that's the problem here as well. Ring cameras, racist. We got a caller? I'll tell you what, I can take it real quick before I go to the break. Let me do that real quick. Is that Brian? Brian from Huntsville. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Mighty fine, and I was listening to the topic, and I said, Ring cameras, they're not racist. They're not black and white, they're in color. I'll throw it out there.
Thank you for coming up with the dad joke for the day, man. Thank you very much.
Have a good one, sir. Bye.
See you, bud. All right, Boomer, take us to the break, man. We'll do that right now. I'll come right back. You might want to know, Ernest Hemingway, racist. Or how about, I don't know, football? It's racist. Race baiters and charlatans. Y'all stand by. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right, making common sense a superpower. Hey, by the way, I'm still not used to this, so I got to remember to do this. But I need to point out that the monologue I did earlier at the start of the show, today it was called Only You Can Speak for You. And I used the movie Remember the Titans. But I need to point out that our monologue is now being sponsored by Southern Immediate Care, a chain of medical clinics all across the Birmingham area. Southern Immediate Care. I'll talk about them more later in the show, but they are doing amazing work right now. Open 7 days a week, 5 locations with I think some more coming. Southern Immediate Care, sponsor of the daily monologue, the Right Side Way. All right, I got a caller that just came in, so let me just grab that real quick before I jump back into my material. David from Muscle Shoals, how you doing?
Hello, Phil. How are you? Good to hear from you.
Yes, sir. Good to hear you. What can I do for you?
Well, your story about Remember the Titans sparked my memory. I taught at that high school. After I left the White House and the administration,
Wow.
I went to work at T.C. Williams High School. Those coaches were my colleagues.
How about that?
And you may not know this, but the white coach, Mr. Yost, grew up in Florence, Alabama.
Somebody else just let us know that by text here a little while ago. I did not know that. What year, David? What year were you there at the school? Were you there during the period that the movie depicted?
No. That was back in '71. I left the George H.W. Bush White House, and so that would have been probably '91 or '93. And of course, now remember that's a Hollywood version of the story.
Sure.
The real story is a little slightly different, but it was quite memorable to be there at the high school with those memories. Of course, at the time I was there were probably 150 or more countries represented at that high school.
Wow.
It had become more than just black and white. It was a truly multinational school, and multiple languages were taught at any one time. In fact, I went back in the evening and taught English as a second language to immigrants.
Wow. Well, I have heard that Coach Boone and Coach Yost remained good friends for many, many years. Is that true?
They did. Yeah.
Yes. Isn't that something? I mean, there were. I know there were Hollywood versions in terms of the facts and the way the show that kind of developed the storyline, but largely the base of it was true. And amazing to see that much difficulty in even being able to be considered in the same room. Becoming the foundation for our friendship.
And it was a movie similar to We Are Marshall.
Yeah.
In the sense, when you went to it, the audience, randomly selected people, would stand up and cheer and feel a sense of unity and camaraderie with their fellow man. I mean, it was really special to feel that magic when you watch the movie. Well,
that is something. Man, I really appreciate you calling in to sharing that personal perspective. Let me ask you, too, if you don't mind, David. You said you worked in the George H.W. Bush administration. What did you do there?
Yes, I did political appointments for the president. I worked in the national campaign staff, and then went to the transition office, and then went over to the White House to personnel, like appointed business officials. Well,
I tell you what, we appreciate your service to the country, and thanks for calling in. That was a very cool thing.
I'm like you. I followed in your footsteps. I left politics. I was the first Republican elected in Carver County, and after I left office, I now have a radio talk show called Mornings with the Professor.
Outstanding.
WVNA, and having taught economics for 30 years. Now I get to teach in the largest classroom in America.
There you go. Well, David, thank you much, and let's have you back on again sometime soon, and holler at me if I can help you, all right?
And I look forward to seeing you at the state meeting in August.
Outstanding. Thanks, David.
Thank you, my friend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You know what? It just dawned on me who I was talking to. I know David. I saw the last name was now written up on the screen. I hadn't said it out loud. I got another caller real quick. I'll take that we're going to run out of time here in about a minute and a half. Is that Jeff? Jeff from Indiana. Hey, brother, how are you?
I'm doing good, Phil. Today's a Friday for me, so I'm doing wonderful.
Well, good. Good. What's on your mind today, buddy?
Hey, I'm going to make a racist statement.
Uh-oh.
All black people like fried chicken and watermelon.
Whoa, hello.
And I'm going to make another racist statement. All white people are racists. What's the difference between those two statements?
There you go. They are both wrong. How about that?
That's exactly right. So whenever somebody ever calls all the white people a systemic racism, you need to sit there and look at them and call them a racist. That's what they're doing to you. And because they're the ones who are the racists.
And what kills me is it's not always even all about all the white people are racist, which, of course, some of them really do like to say. But what they also say is the institutions, like the military is systemically racist, or corporate America is systemic, or the court system is systemically racist. You can't make a systemically racist thing. It's only the people that make it that way, and the people aren't that way. And the laws of the nation being what they are. Hey, Jeff, my music's playing, brother. We're already up against the break.
Have a good one, Phil.
You too, bud. All right, Phil Williams, Right Side Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, sometimes the international. And yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. I'm going to go through the final throes of number one dipper, race baiters and charlatans. Boomer, I know that you would probably agree with me that homework could be a drag when we were in school.
Yeah. No, I mean, really, there's not that many people that like homework.
I mean,
I'm sure there's a few.
There were a few.
There were a few.
They were the curve busters,
Yeah.
the ones who always made the rest of us have to play catch up. Teacher would announce, well, listen, all of y'all, I'm going to be grading on the curve, and everybody would stare at the one guy on the far side of the room, knowing full well that meant that he was going to crush it, and we were all going to have to suffer. All right, but what you didn't realize all along was part of the reason why you didn't like homework, why I didn't like homework, why my dog ate my homework, was because it was racist. You can't make this crap
becoming
up.
a thing.
It's like, wow, it's everywhere you look. Story on the Daily Signal came out a couple of months ago. Maryland's largest school district is reviewing its homework policy through the lens of so-called anti-racism. Here's a quote for you, by the way. Proponents of anti-racism say that America is systemically racist and that racism is built into nearly every institution. They say that just being against racism is not enough. One must be anti-racist and actively work to tear down these institutions. Okay. Montgomery County Public Schools, let me ask you this. If everybody decides not to break a crime, does that mean that everybody is not doing enough? They have to all be crime fighters? That's what I'm hearing. I mean, okay, it's not enough that you don't break the law. You have to be a policeman. Otherwise, you really don't count. It's not enough that you're just not racist. You have to be actively anti-racist. Montgomery County Public Schools, according to the Daily Signal, will reevaluate its homework policies last updated in 1986. Well, it might be time to update anyway in 1986. With an anti-racism lens to determine how homework affects social emotional learning, there's problem number one, and whether it negatively impacts marginalized communities. They go on to basically say, here's a quote, you ready? The anti-racist audit, they did an anti-racist audit. The anti-racist audit clearly showed the educational experience for Hispanic students, African-American students, multilingual education students, special education, and others is different and varied than it is for our other students. Well, what's left? You've already got other. I guess you just left us with Asian and white. Anyway, and they go on to talk about how they're going to have to retool things to make sure that they're anti-racist in doing homework. How does that even work? What if I come in, by the way, math was always my struggle. Didn't matter what kind. I was out with the flu in third grade when they started the multiplication tables. I never caught up, like all the way through high school. So all I'm saying is, if I'm bad at math and I'm in the Maryland County Public Schools and they decide that we need to do homework different if you're, according to that article, Hispanic or African American, and I say, today I identify as African American, can I not have a homework assignment? Whoa, hey, don't you try to assert your privilege around here. I mean, who makes up the rules? Apparently you can identify as you want to. Whatever. How about this one? Well, let's see. Not about that one. How about not that one? Let's do this one. I'll do this one. Here we go. You ready? I got a stack of stuff, man. Boomer, you're a sports guy.
Yes, I am. I don't know what you're coming at now, so.
Well, you know where I'm coming at.
I know exactly where you're coming at, so I'm already ready for the answer. It's racist.
All right, so I'll take racism for $1,000,
Yeah.
Alex. Here's the question. Football is racist. Yeah. So here's a story off Red State, came out just a few months ago. Welp, it says it's time to add one more thing to the ever-growing list of everything about America is racist. Goes on to say that, Damar Hamlin played for the Bills. He's the guy that suffered the cardiac arrest on the field, made a dramatic recovery. I just saw this morning, as a matter of fact, that he was at an awards ceremony and all of the people that had rescued him came out on stage with him. That had to be momentous.
Wow.
But in an opinion piece posted on the Scientific American website that was titled Damar Hamlin's Collapse Highlights the Violence Black Men Experience in Football. So Last I checked, the cricks in my body, some of which came from playing football, even though I'm white, I just look at it, and it says, here's a quote from the author of that article. The terrifyingly ordinary nature of football's violence disproportionately affects black men. What kind of crap is this? First of all, let me just point out something. So as an attorney, I'll just tell you, we look at a couple things, especially in Alabama. We have what's called contributory negligence. The other thing we have is called assumption of the risk. And what it basically means is if you put yourself in the position of causing the injury voluntarily or in some way having caused it, contributed to it in some way and through your own negligence, then it's kind of hard for you to complain. Contributory negligence, assumption of the risk. I am pretty sure those grown men who play professional football, college football, even the parents who put their kids into Little League football, they're there knowing full well the risks that are involved. It's part of it. And the very idea that you're going to say, well, it's racist because they get hurt more. I don't think that's true, first of all. And secondly, what a preposterous thing to say. What an insult. Half of this right now, we look at it, these different claims that are being made. Homework, it's racist. Football's racist. It's insulting to people of different demographics. It's like the whole notion that having a photo ID to be able to vote is racist. Why? Well, apparently black people don't know how to get a photo ID. I got news. Black people are just as competent, qualified, intelligent as anybody else of any other color. Well, there's socio and demographic and economic and, oppression and systemic and whatever. No, there's not. There's also excuses. I mean, it's like, for the love. And by the way, let me just point out, history dictates that is incorrect. When Georgia passed their law in the last few years, guess what happened? They had higher turnout than ever before. How about when Alabama did it? When I was in the legislature, we passed the photo ID law, I think in 2014. I don't forget what it was. It was somewhere in the middle of my term, my tenure down there, and we passed it. And then Secretary of State John Merrill made the statement that he would come to every community, set up mobile labs for people to get IDs, and if you couldn't get one, he would come to your house, and he did a few times. Come down there and get people squared away. We had a higher voter turnout with photo ID than we did before. And it's just, anyway, it's insulting to say these things. And yet, Democrats don't realize that when they label everything systemically racist and portray everyone as victims, all they've really done is say that person's not competent enough to get it done on their own. I know that there will be times when life does not have the same level of advantages to one person than it does to another. I know there will also be times when someone's background might have given them an opportunity that others didn't have. I know that there's going to be some times when someone will be in the right place at the right time and they'll gain an edge that somebody else couldn't get. And I know for a fact that racism exists in the world, but we are not systemically racist. And these race baiters and charlatans out there trying to create something where there's nothing just need to get a grip. It's time. I mean, you have the right to associate with whom you desire in this country. It's a constitutional right. Freedom of association is guaranteed by the Supreme Court as being under the First Amendment. But anyway, tell you what, Boomer, let's go ahead and take a break, buddy. We'll take that break right now. We'll come right back. Got a few more minutes here to read some text messages, see what's going on. Bottom of the hour, we'll be joining, we usually call it Boomer McQueen. Today, it's Boomer and Sparky. Oh, yeah. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right, saving the world one soundbite at a time. Hey, don't forget, coming up bottom of the hour, 3:30 time frame, that's when we usually would do Boomer and McQueen, but today we got a guest host coming on, and we decided just to reach out there and just, see what would happen if we brought on Sparky from Harvest. So we're doing Boomer and Sparky at 3:30. Y'all stay tuned for that. And listen, I got to tell you, as you're listening to the show and we go to breaks, right? It's just part of the way every show has to work. Well, Rightside Radio is a standalone business. All right, we are fully self-sufficient. We're not owned by the stations that we're on. We own the content. We send them the show. But we have to sustain our operations like any other business, and part of the way that we do that is by selling ads. If you listen to this show and you're like, man, they say the things that I think, and I want my business aligned with them. If you'd like to advertise with Rightside Radio, we'd love to talk to you. So right now, you can go to our website, rightsideradio.org. That's rightsideradio.org. Click on the Advertising and Contact tab, and then just send us a message, and we will get back to you right away. I just found out we're about to probably sign up another one. Excited about that. And, of course, Southern Immediate Care came on board this past week. ZLA has been with us for years, along with several others. So, anyway, you want to advertise at Rightside Radio? Go to rightsideradio.org. Click on Advertising. Send us a message. We will get in touch. I got a number of, what happened with the text messages? They apparently exploded. I didn't even get to say
I thought you were going, what happened? I thought I should have done it earlier. I messed up. Oh, well.
Let me pick up a few of these text messages. And some of these kind of reach back to previous conversations. So earlier, Boomer and I were joking about the fact that Dances with Wolves is a theme that has, everything is Dances with Wolves. And then Steve from Huntsville just texted in and says, Little Big Man. I forgot about Little Big Man. Little Big Man was Dances with Wolves a generation earlier. That's right. It was Dances with Wolves before Dances with Wolves was cool. Have you ever seen Little Big Man? Dustin Hoffman? It's pretty crazy. It almost reminds me of Forrest Gump in a different way. One guy who was in so many different things and no one realized, and they made him out to be the only white man who had ever survived the massacre at Little Bighorn. I
haven't seen that.
Okay.
I guess I need to watch it.
It's a crazy movie. Brian from Huntsville just says, woot woot to David for calling in. That's he also says, doctors with body cams. Wow. Slap one on Biden and save it on the cloud. Leanne from Huntsville. Aren't more black parents hurt because maybe there's just more black players? And that was one of the things the article that I didn't get into pointed out was that depending upon which position you're in, that you'll find that like 70% of people in the line tend to be white, but it's like I want to say like 72% of people in the ball carrying positions or the receiving positions wind up being black. It's just go figure, but there it is. Lewis from Birmingham, what's he say? Okay, I don't know what you're telling me, Lewis, but thank you very much. Something about, okay, I guess what he's telling me that I need to go back to bar prep and check on something to do. 50% bars. I know he's talking about when I was talking about contributory negligence. Check it though, Lewis. We're a 100% contrib state. You don't have to have 50%. That's in Georgia, I believe. In Alabama, we are a pure contrib state, meaning that if you contributory if you contribute your own negligence, even the smallest amount, to your own injuries, you can be found ineligible for a claim for damages. Check it. If I'm wrong, text me and see. But that's my recollection, having done insurance defense and all for many years. Ronnie from Athens wants us to ask how Sparky got his name, but there was a typo or three, and he said, "Yeah, I don't voice text very well." Badger from Athens. All right, we will get a Boomer and Butter special one day. Ooh. Boomer and Butter special.
I like that.
Do we have to put y'all on a T-shirt? Boomer and Butters, maybe. Brian S. from Huntsville, because remember we have multiple Brians. There's only one Brian from Huntsville who's been calling this show since the beginning. Now we also have Brian S. from Huntsville. Okay, it's a long text. Brian S., you are not helping me. Let me check it and see. He says, a racist statement is to say that black people can't be racist. Nowadays, equate the words racist, discriminatory, and stereotypical, and they have different meanings. Racism is believing that one race is superior over another. Stereotyping is saying that all of one race does something. For example, all Asian people are good at math as a stereotype. Affirmative action is an example of discrimination, awarding people or punishing people. Thank you for your very, very long text, Brian S., but it was a good one. You were right. Finishing up here, Daryl from Tony says, Colonel, the race baiters won't go away as long as there's a financial gain. It's how Sharpton and Jackson did it. That's why I call them charlatans, brother. That's why I call them charlatans, because they're out there just conniving people out of their money. Says it's how Sharpton and Jackson did it, extort the money. They're making a fortune off the backs of their race at the expense of the nation. It's how the devil works, he says. I would agree. What else we got here? Dave from Battleground, Alabama. Joe Biden stars in Dances with Wasps. Okay. I'm going to leave that there, right there. Lewis from Birmingham says, don't confuse me. I'm bar prepping. I'm in a world that only exists for 2 days. Now I understand what his text is saying. Hey, well, good luck then, Lewis. Blessings on you, man. Passed the bar 20 years ago. Don't ever want to do it again. But you'll do well, brother. Just do all the Barbary PMBR and study up and make your outlines, brother. You will do well. All right, listen, we got plenty of doings. And coming up next, we're going to jump over to a segment. This is like my favorite time of the week. It just turned out that way. And we usually do it as Boomer and McQueen, which we did last week, Boomer and McQueen. But McQueen, being the part of the athlete family that she and Boomer have, is a former University of Alabama gymnast who is committed to teaching at 3 separate camps or workshops with kids of different ages. What age does she have this week, bud?
This week is that little bitties.
Little bitties.
Yeah, little bitties.
She's already worked with high school and college level, right?
Yeah, like high school going into college, then like right under that, and now I believe it's the little bitties this week.
This will be the hoot.
This will be fun.
I hope there's a lot of parents there.
There definitely will be.
Well, she'll be back with us, we hope, next week. Everything should be good.
Yep, everything's good.
But this week we're gonna move it to a guest host. We got Sparky from Harvest coming in.
Can't wait.
I'm digging this. I mean, we've had Lee from Huntsville come on. Of course, Butters jumps in when he can. But today it'll be Boomer and Sparky. And John from Huntsville just texted in and said, Boomer and Sparky sounds like the fire department needs to be called. That is true. And we also have some breaking news out of the White House, which I will give you at some point. And it's not just about cocaine. Did they find something else too? Apparently they have. Anyway, we'll see. All right, folks, listen. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. You guys stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Covering down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful state in the nation. That would be this one, Alabama. And I'm talking about this show goes way on down south of Birmingham and up north of Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, back to gas and parts of Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. All right, hey, listen, we're going to jump into it. This is my favorite time of the week. I don't know why, but I get the biggest kick out of this. But we've been calling the segment Boomer and McQueen because it's Boomer and McQueen. McQueen has had her commitments to the coaching that she's doing for the summer and has not been able to be with us for 3 times, this being the 3rd. So we've had Boomer and Butters. And then we just went, who else there in the audience can we work with? Boomer and Lee from Huntsville. And we thought, you know what, today, let's just call and see what happens. And sure enough, it's going to be Boomer and Sparky from Harvest. Sparky, are you with us?
I'm with you here from the very western part of Madison County, Alabama.
We're excited to have you on, brother. Thanks for making some time for us, more than just the usual phone call.
Oh, it's an honor to be a part of it. Thank you.
Well, absolutely. All right, you know how this works, though, right, Spark? I throw out questions. You guys give me your unimpeded thoughts, and then we flip the switch, and you guys ask me any question you want to later. Okay? All right. I expect wittiness. I expect excitement. Here we go. Hit me the whoop whoops. All right. Hey, listen. Here's the first question, fellas. I'm just going to throw this out there. So we're in the campaign season, right? And the Democrat National Committee, the DNC, they've already announced they're not even going to hold primary debates. I mean, it's not like Biden doesn't have actual primary opponents like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. But the DNC has already said they're not even going to hold primary debates. The Republican National Committee has said they are going to hold primary debates, but they got some qualifications for them. But Trump himself is not even committed to doing those debates. Give me your thoughts on the debate process and both parties. Who's first? Sparky, I'm going with you. You're the guest.
Well, all right. Thank you. Good question. To the side of the DNC, I think anybody that studied these parties and our two-party system over certainly my lifetime, but in the last couple of decades, the DNC has demonstrated that they don't care what the American people want, nor do they care what the Democrat voters want. In 2016, for instance, you were going to get Hillary Clinton in 2016, whether you wanted her or not.
Yeah.
And the front runner, Bernie Sanders, was to be summarily destroyed. And therefore, this doesn't surprise me one bit. I believe that they're just wise enough in their hubris and their arrogance to realize that Joe Biden could not hold a debate where he has to answer extemporaneously and it doesn't have the little things in his ears and everything reinforced and the little teleprompter screen going. He absolutely couldn't function. In fact, I don't think he could do a debate with all those perks. So that's certainly the way they've chosen to do it. I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. can destroy the man, in my opinion, even though he has trouble speaking lately. He's got a really tough time with his voice, I think. On the Republican side, with qualifications, I get it. Probably if you don't poll in the above the single digits, you shouldn't be on that stage. I can't remember the last time, but it seemed like there was like 13 people on the debate stage in the first round. That was kind of quick.
Well, so what do you think, though, if Trump is actually the front runner, should he commit to a debate just simply by the fact that he's considered to be the front runner?
I think he would owe it to his loyal fans to demonstrate that he's still got that tough edge, right? It's one thing to stand up in front of thousands and thousands of people in the Jumbotron and in these rallies and to have to go toe-to-toe with somebody. So, no, I think he would be wise to do it. And anybody would be wise to want to debate against him if they're on the Republican side.
Yeah, I think so. And, I will say this to your point a minute ago about Biden. He has enough trouble with a teleprompter when he's not in a debate.
Absolutely.
All right, Boomer, debate stuff. What do you think, man?
All right,
DNC
I'm
says none.
I'm gonna agree with Sparky. Like with the Democratic Party, with them not doing the debates, they just they don't want bumbling Biden to bumble, and that's basically what it is. Because, like y'all said, even if he had one of those earpieces in, he would be over there trying to repeat what they say in the earpiece, but then look over and go,
did I do it right?
He would probably point at it, and did I do it right? And then he can't read the teleprompter, and he would get demolished by the other Democratic,
He goes to press conferences with laminated note cards in his hands that tell him who he's supposed to call. And
exactly. So for them not to do the debates is basically just to save Biden.
They're just rescuing him in advance.
They're rescuing him in advance.
They're anticipating problems, and they're like, let's don't even go there.
I know, and they're going to worry about like all the presidential stuff later.
What about the Republicans, though?
Republicans, with them doing the percentage for them to actually be on the stage, I think that's smart. I mean, okay. I do. I think it's smart. But for Trump specifically, I think he should be there. Only because he is the front runner right now. And so with that, not only do we as Americans are the ones that support Trump want to hear from him, we also want to hear what he's wanting to do these next 4 years if he gets elected. That's what I want to hear. I don't want him just to hide. I don't want to see him hide when I know he should not. Okay, so let me ask y'all this. Right now, Trump's the front runner. Trump also lashes out. Anybody who dares to say something in opposition winds up getting branded, with a nickname or whatever else. So just this is a random question here. All right, the Republican field, the ones that we believe are going to be on the stage right now, would be Trump, and then DeSantis, Tim Scott, Nikki Haley. I'm probably Vivek Ramaswamy. Those are the ones that right now have apparently already earned the right to be on the stage. Of those, which one do you think would give Trump the biggest run for his money in a debate? Spark, you first.
Surprisingly, I would say because they won't let Condi Rice be on that stage, Ramaswamy. I like and admire Governor DeSantis a lot, but he lacks a certain amount of aplomb and sort of likability. It's hard to put your finger on that Ted Cruz thing, right? He didn't quite have it. So I think that'd be his big challenger as far as just eloquence and comfortable digging in on the stage.
I will say Vivek Ramaswamy is the quickest person on his feet, thinking on his feet, that I've seen take a microphone yet. I mean, they're all good, and they've all got experience. But every time I see him in some way addressing the public or answering a question on any network, it's like the man has got poise like I've never seen. He just and you can tell he's brilliant. Your thoughts? Who do you think could take give Trump the biggest run for his money on the debate stage? Honestly,
I don't know. I would hope all of them, because I think just a little bit. I think Trump needs a little bit of humility sometimes.
Okay, well then let me ask you this. All right, I'm dragging this one out a little bit.
I think they should. I mean, I think they should stand up. I mean, why not?
Well, they have to. They want to be president of the United States.
Exactly. I would want to see all of them do it.
All right, so here's my next piece of this then. Should they attack Trump or just work to say their points and let it be? Spark?
Say their points and let it be. There's a certain amount of class and dignity that comes with, I think, assuming that office. Trump got into office the first time by not being the Washington insider, and right now he's degenerated into a whole lot of pettiness and ugliness, and I think they would all be wise to rise above that sort of personal attack and say, hey, I'm going to compliment you, but I think I can do a better job than you.
All right, Boomer, you want to see them smack him around, or you want to see like the kind of?
Okay, I don't know about smacking around. I don't know if they should go after Trump. I think they should boldly stand for maybe something that Trump's not for. If there's something that they boldly boldly stand for that maybe Trump's not. Yeah. Not. I think they should really make that a point, and then not throw it in his face, but more so.
Yeah. Okay.
Be there.
Because at some point you got to differentiate yourself.
Exactly. You can't just do everything Trump does, because why would anybody choose you?
All right. Let's see if we can do the next question before we run out of time. All right, fellas. So here's the next question in this Boomer and Sparky round. By the way, just a minute ago, we got a text from John from Huntsville, Spark, and he says that the fact that we're calling it Boomer and Sparky sounds like we need to call out the fire department. Just let you know.
Absolutely.
All right. So our own U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville is making waves. I mean, he is literally poking the bear, and it's not just on the Democrat side. There's some Republicans getting irritated with his, one-man war against the DOD and the policies on wokeness and abortion. He's slowing down the confirmations of these generals and admirals from being confirmed, not stopping them, just slowing them down. Is it time for him to move on, or is this a stand that we need? Sparky, I'll defer to you, having served in uniform.
Well, I'll say with some authority that there's nothing about a gentleman or a lady being promoted that's going to affect the readiness of a given organization or in fact the entire branches of the armed forces. To Tuberville, for a first-term senator, unbelievable bravery, in my opinion, here by sticking to his guns over the DOD's desire to, or the stated desire to pay for service members to cross borders to obtain abortions wherever on the taxpayer dime. I applaud him for this bravery. I think it's unbelievable guts that he's going against a lot of the old guard, the old Washington swamp guard in his own party. So bravo to Coach Tuberville.
All right. Boomer, your thoughts?
I'm with Sparky completely. The way I look at Senator Tuberville right now is someone that has not only gained my trust, but also now I know that he is serious and that he's not going to back down off of a fight or something that he believes in, and that means a lot to me, just as a citizen. And knowing that he will stand up for that, and he's doing it alone, is pretty remarkable. All
right, all right, then, Boomer. What I need you to do right now is go ahead and say War Eagle.
I didn't know where you're going with it. I can't say those words, but I will say I admire Coach.
All right.
How about that?
Fair enough. All right. Hey, great first round. Perfect timing for the break. We'll take the break right now. We are guest hosting today as McQueen is out of town. We've got Boomer and Sparky. You guys stay tuned. We'll come up round 2. This is where we flip the script. They ask me any question they want to, and I just hang on. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. Making common sense a superpower, making it cool to be a conservative, saving the world one soundbite at a time. I got all my buzz lines. Hey, by the way, before I jump back in, we're doing, it's usually Boomer and McQueen, but today, because McQueen is off coaching, it's Boomer and Sparky, and I just got a text from Roughly Ann from Huntsville, says, stellar idea incorporating ruffians into the segment when McQueen is obligated. Thank you, Roughly Ann, and Sparky's holding his own today, so, all right, fellers, hit me some whoop-whoops. Whoop, whoop. All right. Round two of Boomer and Sparky. This is where I sit back in anxious anticipation. We flip the script. They get to ask me any question they want to. We're deferring to our guest host for the day first. Sparky, what's your question for me?
No, you're too kind. This is one you probably get asked a bit, and I have upon occasion, you having served in special operations in the theater, in the thick of it, as a colonel in the U.S. Army. A young person is considering joining the U.S. military, and they ask your opinion on that career choice. They're fixing to finish high school, or they're part of the way through college, and they want to go join the Army or the Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard. What do you say to them in today's climate?
I still say yes, and I say yes because I still think it's as much as you make it. And I think that if you go in knowing what you believe, like if you go in a skull full of mush and somebody tells you you're systemically racist and you go, oh, I didn't know, I'm so sorry, then you're going to have a hard time. But if you go in with principles, and if you go in with the understanding you want to serve, and you also go in with the understanding it's going to be hard and you want it to be hard, and whatever specialty or MOS you choose, that you're going to be the best you can be at it, I think you can still have a very rewarding career, and we need people like that. And so, if there's folks in this all volunteer military that still want to serve, and I pray that they are because we need them, then my basically I'm saying, get her done, and but know what you believe, and have those principles embedded, ingrained, and ready to stand up under any wokeness that somebody could portray. But I'll say this too, Spark, and you know the deal. I mean, I spent 30 years in. You spent a lot of years in. We do not have a systemically racist DOD. We have a woke upper level management of the DOD right now, but the rank and file, honorable in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that though?
I agree 100%, and your emphasis at the end there on please do it. We need more people who want to serve, and also as I talked to my granddaughter who's considering the Air Force, you have an opportunity like no other time in history to go in there and do great things and improve things, because in a lot of ways, culturally, it's going to be an uphill battle. So, and over to Boomer.
Well, but at the same time, though, I got to say, friends don't let friends join the Air Force. I just, there's that. All right, Boom Shakalaka, what question do you have for me?
All right, so I'm going to go to a headline that you may have read off earlier, and it is the Secret Service closes White House cocaine investigation, says it's not able to identify suspects.
Bull crap. What are my thoughts, I guess is what your question.
What are your thoughts, and is there any... Yeah, what are your thoughts? Why are they doing that?
My thoughts are this is the biggest bunch of crap I've ever seen. If that's the case, then how protected is our White House right now? If you can... I mean, I've been in the White House before, and I've worked in the bowels of the Pentagon. And listen, to get into some of these locations, you have to have multiple card swipes. You have to have the ability to, you basically you leave your phone at a certain place so it's registered. The security guards know who you were when you came in. They have dogs that can sniff. They have the ultimate in surveillance equipment, which, by the way, I don't think there's a single room, with the exception of perhaps the president's bathroom, that... Well, let's see, Monica Lewinsky proved that it's also the back room behind the Oval Office. But nonetheless, there's very few places you can go that are not, visually, being recorded, audio being recorded. And the idea that somebody left behind their cocaine and they just can't figure out, how that got there. I mean, dang. Plus, it was a plastic baggie is what we're being told. So either they were wearing gloves or they wiped that sucker down to get the fingerprints off of it. And
They know.
How about this? How about go look at the logs, see who was there, and drug test every individual who was in the White House at that particular day? Just
At least there's your suspects.
I mean, Sparky, how many times have you had to pee in a cup in your years of military service? You just do that sometimes, right? It just happens.
All the time, and even working for the military for years afterwards as a government servant and a contractor, it's expected. By the way, you bring up another good subject. I say random urinalysis for everybody in the United States Senate and the House of Representatives on a no-notice basis. That would help us identify a lot of our problems.
I'm pretty sure we'd lose a third of the legislative body. But, here's the other thing, too. I don't know if y'all saw this or not. A headline just broke a little while ago while we were on the air. It's just come to light that the Secret Service also found marijuana in the White House twice last year and didn't say anything about it. Just saying.
Wow. So they just happened to tell us about the cocaine.
The freaking Biden
and they're
White
still
House.
not going to tell us whose it was.
No.
Because it was.
Whose, yes.
The big question is, why did that news ever get out? How in the world with a culture in that administration, why did we ever hear about it anyway? That's so weird to me.
I know. The whole thing is mystifying, brother. Mm-hmm. Well, listen, the music's already playing. That means the sermon is over. But Sparky, we appreciate you as always. Thanks for joining in today, man.
All right, and thank you for being the voice of truth and integrity on the radio. Appreciate you and Boomer.
All right, thank you, brother. We'll see you. All right, that was Boomer and Sparky. Hey, coming up next, Dale Jackson's calling in. We're going to talk about the weaponization of government. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, sometimes the international. And like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, entering into hour number 3 here for the day. I'm going to be moving forward, though, into Dipper number 2 in hour number 3. Going to talk about weaponization of government. I mean, this is the week when the Weaponization of Government Committee has actually been meeting. We've had the FBI director up there having to provide testimony, sort of. We've got all kinds of stories out there about, the seemingly one-sided or lopsided application of justice. And then what happens when the IRS is allowed to meddle in your affairs? And 87,000 new IRS agents. Anyway, all said and done. I thought, you know what? I'm bringing in a dude who is so bold he can go out and hunt alligators with a switch, and that would be Dale Jackson. Dale Jackson from WVNN, also writing for Yellowhammer News. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, although I am not looking forward to hunting alligators because I'm terrified of them and their prehistoric armored killing machines, so I'll pass on that.
That's why I heard you were not on the Grand Council this week, because you were out there trying to get a new pair of alligator boots.
I wish that was the case, but it was not. I had a doctor's appointment, which is always exciting.
That's about as lame a thing as you could have said on this show. Mm-hmm. I had to get my teeth checked. I was in sick call,
sir.
Okay, Roger. Well, all right. Well, then let me ask you this before we even go on to the topic at hand. What's up with the gator? Is the city going to move it, or are they just going to talk about, hey, watch out when you're walking your dog?
They're going to send you a pamphlet that says living with gators and how to do it. And one of those things is to contact the authorities if you see one being a nuisance. What? But if you contact the authorities and you see one being a nuisance, they give you a pamphlet.
Wait, are you making that up, or are you saying there's
I'm
actually
dead
a pamphlet?
Serious.
There's
I'm
really
dead
a pamphlet?
Serious. They give you a pamphlet, and the pamphlet says basically on the front. I have it in front of me right this second, but it says, living with that, how to live with an alligator in Alabama. I mean,
is it a state pamphlet or a city pamphlet?
It's a Alabama Conservation Department pamphlet. The city has done basically nothing at all, except sometimes they're suggesting that maybe the alligator didn't actually get attacked. Or the alligator didn't actually attack a dog, and we're all just lying about this. But the pamphlet actually says this: how to live with alligators in Alabama. And if you look at the front of it, it's the scariest damn alligator you've ever seen. They're not trying to soothe you. They're trying to make you afraid.
Oh, my God.
And inside, I posted on Twitter, inside, if you look at it, these things are terrifying. I mean, it's hard not to be scared of an alligator. And I'll tell you a quick little story about Grant. Yesterday, I was talking to the guy involved in this, and he walked in while I was having the conversation. And afterwards, he's like, well, what's up with this alligator? And I told him, I said, that's over here in this. And he's like, can we go see it? And I said, look, you're misunderstanding the story here. This is not something you want to go see. You want to be scared of alligators. And he said, why do I need to be scared of alligators? And he's 5, and I'm like, because let me put it this way. You know those zebras that we see at the drive-through zoo that's now closed, the Harmony Safari place, which Grant loved to feed the zebras. I don't know if you ever went there. Uh-oh. But the alligator can drag those guys into the water and kill them because that's how strong they are. And he's like, show me. And I'm like, oh, my God. Okay. So I Google alligator and zebra with him sitting right here. The very first picture is an alligator dragging a zebra into the water and ripping his face down to the skull. This isn't a video. This is a still photo.
You're a horrible person.
I know. I'm a bad dad.
You're
right?
traumatizing your son.
I don't know. And I was just like, man, not a great look there. So,
okay, yeah. All right. Well, now that we understand what your Achilles heel, your kryptonite truly is alligators.
I'm terrified, man. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're prehistoric killing machines.
Let me just go on to the next topic at hand. Weaponization of government. All right, so For real, weaponization of government. You know, in fact, we had Becky Garrettson on the show before. You may recall when she was back in the day with
the expert, right?
She is. I mean, she was with the Tumpka Tea Party, and they were getting dinged by the IRS under Lois Lerner during the Obama years, and she wound up testifying before Congress. Little bitty old girl from Alabama testifying before Congress about the weaponization of the IRS. But I feel like we're at next level right now. I think we're seeing more than perhaps ever before. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear this is happening. And to all the people who seem to be stuck on this idea that this is like some sort of dream by conservatives, it's kind of strange because we went through an entire couple of years where you guys seem to think that George Bush was targeting everyone who disagreed with him and getting ready to send him to Gitmo. Then we had an 8-year period where nothing could happen at the IRS or anywhere else that could possibly harm anyone. And then we had a 4-year period where you were once again afraid of the government, putting you in jail and Donald Trump using his power to kill you. And now we're back to the part where that could never happen, and nobody would ever do that. I just don't understand where the left comes from on this stuff, because they're wholly inconsistent in all of this. And conservative has always been, that's what we've been telling you. You need to worry about the government. That they're too strong, they're too big.
I tell you,
and they're coming at you.
One of the things that really strikes me as, with Obama and Lois Lerner and the IRS and all that, at the very least, it was sneaky. I mean, it was like, okay, we had to bring her in and make her give testimony to sort of prove that this was happening. I mean, we're looking at during the Biden years, he's literally doing things like, we're going to put it in law, and I'm going to sign it, that if you have a transaction of $600 or more, the IRS gets to look at your bank accounts. We got, the Department of Justice going after, moms, speaking to school boards, calling them domestic terrorists, and working with, the teachers union. We've got, back when the vaccine mandates were going on, they were going to use OSHA to shut down your business and fine you $13,000 per violation if you didn't have your people vaccinated, whether they wanted to be or not. I mean, these were official policies or laws for that matter. It feels like they've gotten far more overt and ostentatious and bold. Ostentatious is a very good word, by the way.
Yeah, and they're pretending it's not a thing. They're always pretending it's not a thing. The thing they're doing is just, this isn't happening. What are you talking about? Weapon of what? And they just don't understand it when they're doing it. And it's pretty clear they're doing it. And I got to give Barry more credit. He asked the right question. He's like, why do my constituents, this is paraphrasing, of course, why do my constituents feel like they're under attack from the federal government? Well, the answer is because they are. But you watch as Christopher Wray said, well, that's just a mischaracterization of the situation. It's like, guys, we're not stupid. I mean, you got to understand, these people have eyes and ears, and they seem to have it. And even if they're not being targeted directly, the people they vote for are. The people they vote for are absolutely under the gun and being targeted by these people. And I don't understand why we can't admit that and admit that it's wrong. Why can't we say, this has happened and it shouldn't have happened, and hopefully it never happens again? Instead, we're just pretending it never happened, which means they kind of want it to happen again, and they're willing to do that. And I think that that's pretty clear.
Well, I don't want to pretend that nobody in the Republican side has ever used their position in government to their advantage, because we know it happens, sure. And we've probably seen it happen, and we can think of people who went to jail because it happened. But the idea of being punitive and lashing out and actually embedding that as a matter of policy, I think that's like some next level bogus crap right there that to me drives down the trust and the value that people should have in there, because government has a role. We're not gonna ever be to the point that we have no governance. That's anarchy. But you want to be able to trust that the people up there have your best interest at hearts. And when you find out that they're gonna attack you for not being, towing the party line, it creates a whole new dynamic.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that these people who are just continuously pretending that this isn't happening are just being totally dishonest. And again, the media is just like, well, what are you guys talking about? Why you guys are such conspiracy theorists? What's wrong with you guys? And it's like, you supported this when it was happening. What are you talking about? And they just cannot be brought to being honest about this at all, and that's even more frustrating.
All right,
in this.
So speaking of being honest, let me shift gears. It's a slight segue, slightly off topic, not quite as far as alligators, but I'm assuming that by now you have seen that the FBI has closed the investigation into the cocaine that was left unsnorted somewhere in the White House. But did you see the second headline that broke about an hour and a half ago? About
they found more other different drugs in the past?
They found marijuana twice last year laying around in the White House, and they chose not to say anything about it. So it begs the question, who is the Biden administration letting into our White House right now?
I don't know. They should have known who it was. They should have known who it was when Hunter Biden was like, "Hey, I know the investigation's over. Can I have it back?" They should have had a clue as to what was going on there, but apparently no, that wasn't enough of a clue for these folks. Yeah, you ask yourself like, who are they letting in here and what are they doing? That's a good question. I mean, it really is. But the answer is Hunter Biden. The answer to all these questions is Hunter Biden, and we know this. This is the part that I find to be kind of most frustrating. And I said this before all this went down, and the FBI came out and said, "What drugs? What?" Or the Secret Service did. If they say they don't know, it's Hunter Biden. Okay, that's it. If they don't throw somebody under the bus, it's Hunter Biden. That's it. There's no other way. And look, whether or not that's true or not, that's how it's going to be played. Because that's how it would be played in any other situation. So if you can't tell me that it's not the cokehead in chief there, then I'm sorry, it's Hunter Biden.
And while we're at it, we're pretty sure that Hunter Biden is the one that left the pipe bomb by the DNC on January 6th. And while we're at it, I'm pretty sure that Hunter Biden is the one who leaked the Supreme Court decision for Dobbs before it ever came out. but I'm serious. I agree with you, though. I mean, when you've got a guy who has a known coke addiction, and he's
in recovery, Phil.
I'm sorry. I forgot. He's in recovery. Okay. This whole thing is just so jacked up because you can't tell me that the most protected house in the world didn't have the ability to tell who walked into what room. I mean, I guarantee you they have video surveillance or audio, or at the very least they have a log of who walked into that part of the White House.
I mean, you got to look at the January 6th stuff. Look how hard they went at that. Now, that's a completely different scenario. I understand it. I'm not saying it's the same thing. That's not my implication here. But look at how hard they went on that issue and how far they were willing to go. They charged one guy with a crime because they say they heard his voice on a video saying go into the Capitol. A guy not named Ray Epps, but they said that they heard his voice. So they literally arrested him and tried him on that. And he pled to a different charge. He pled down. And I just think the whole thing is amazing how hard they're willing to go when they actually want to get someone. We all know this. You know this. If you want to get someone in that situation, you can. If you really want to know, you can figure it out. Everybody knows that.
They don't want to know. They don't want to know.
Correct.
Either that or they know and don't want to tell. One or the other.
Yeah. I think, look, like I said, if they don't tell us who it is fair game to assume it's Hunter Biden.
All right, I got to leave it there, man. We got to go to a break. Dale Jackson, 770 AM, 92.5 FM, host of the Dale Jackson Show, also writing for Yellowhammer News. We appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. All right, we're taking the break. We're coming right back. I'll jump right on into more of this. I've got content, y'all. I got resources, and we got plenty of text messages. We'll touch base on some of those, too. Weaponization of government. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio, solid and conservative and just plain right, making it cool to be a conservative. Hey, by the way, before I go any further, I got to tell you guys, so one of our newest sponsors is Southern Immediate Care. Southern Immediate Care. What a great name. If you need walk-in capability for a medical clinic, they've got like 5 locations all over the Birmingham area, open 7 days a week, extended hours at most of their locations. I mean, folks, you can see them on weekends. Their 2 newest ones are in Chelsea and Hoover. They see clients from any age. They get X-rays, immunizations right there on site. All said and done, what I'm telling you is Southern Immediate Care is available for you should you need care 7 days a week. And walk-ins are available, no appointment necessary. Go see them. Now, listen, I'll be honest with you. I use Southern Immediate Care in the Gadsden area. Love those folks. Think the world of them. I also know the guy who owns the entire chain. Quality individuals, all of it. So Southern Immediate Care, newest sponsor of the show. Glad to have them on board. They also sponsor the daily monologue that I do, The Right Side Way, when the show kicks off. So check them out. And by the way, if you do, tell them, hey, I heard about this place on Right Side Radio. I would appreciate you telling them. All right, we're going to go into the next section called Weaponization of Government. And I can see I got a caller coming. If I have time, I'll take that. But folks, this is... You want to be able to trust your government. You want to know that when you see these folks who are, either in government as elected officials or in government as workers, bureaucrats, whatever the case may be, then you gotta know that what's happening here is happening in your best interests. You got to know that what you've got is the ability to trust your government. And what's happening right now is the diminished level of trust that we have in our government has become, I don't know, I think it's reached new levels. I think there should always be a healthy level of skepticism. You should always want to check things twice. Never be so gullible that you don't, they wouldn't do that. They're my government. Whew, I got news, they might. But what's happening right now appears to be at a next level. We're looking at things that are happening that are becoming a matter of policy. Not just, we did that thing because he used, he put his thumb on the scale. You hear what happened to Joe? Well, yeah, oh boy, crossed the wrong people. How about this? They passed laws, executive orders, posted regulations, all of which gave them the ability to be punitive, more so than perhaps ever before. That's happening right now in a variety of different capacities. And I'm going to run down a litany of them here in a minute. Real stuff. Things they don't want to talk about. And then I'll also tell you, too, I'm going to cover the fact that the liberal media wants you to believe that this is all smoke and mirrors. It ain't real. Republicans are out there forming committees and looking at stuff. What did we just endure for the last, 4 years of the Trump administration? And even longer when you consider January 6th Commission carried on for, 2 years during the Biden administration. I'm just telling you, folks. There are things that are happening right now that should not be happening that have been made into official policy, that have been codified, that have been placed into the regulatory annals of the national journals that govern how they govern us. And it ain't good. And it needs to stop. And the only way it can stop, by the way, is to change the administration and the legislative body in the next election cycle. That's the only way we're going to get out of this. Because right now they are emboldened to the point that they will do whatever they feel like doing. And we're seeing it happen. So, anyway. All right, listen. We'll take a break right now. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio. You guys stay tuned. Weaponization of government's right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. I'm talking about this show covers down on some amazing amount of ground across the northern half of the most beautiful state in the nation, Alabama. And I mean, we send our signal like way on down south of Birmingham, way, way up north of Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, back over to Gadsden, parts of Georgia, Tennessee, even Mississippi thrown in just for good measure. All right, I am in number 2 of the Triple Dipper. Before I do that, though, I just got to tell you. So I was over at ZLA Solutions today talking to the folks that run that place, and they've got an amazing, I mean, they are so entrepreneurial. They're doing things left and right to help businesses, and I wish you'd check them out. ZLA Solutions, their website is zlausa.com. They can do all kinds of things to help your businesses. They can help you with things like sorting and containment, logistics, warehousing. But their bread and butter, like I always say, remains staffing. They can help you find the people you need. If you need onesies and twosies, special niche skills, hard to find kind of people, they can do that. If you need a whole shift of folks to run the factory or help staff the hospital or whatever the case may be, they can do that. All the recruiting, the background checks, the drug testing if necessary, they can do that. I mean, blue collar, white collar, no collar, it don't matter is what I always say. ZLA Solutions at zlausa.com. Check them out. And by the way, tell them you heard about it on Rightside Radio. I would appreciate that. All right. I got a bunch of text messages. David from Huntsville, if they don't tell us who the addict is, we assume Kamala. All right, there's that. Tony from Piedmont. Only thing they're not doing is teaching Mandarin Chinese in school. What's he talking about? Oh, he says we're batting 1,000 this week. No, he's guessing it's the VP. I see where we're headed here. Yeah, they're guessing it's so now it's Kamala. Okay. What else we got in here? John from Brownsboro. Cocaine may be the only thing keeping Joe Biden on his feet at this point. Dang, brutal. John from Brownsboro. Brian from Huntsville. Drugs in diplomatic pouches. Who knows, brother? Got an unknown texter there, Boom. We need to find out who this is. It says Grady, but we don't know where Grady's from. Got a 404 area code. Says, next thing you know, Sparky will be filling in for Phil when he's on vacation. We did have Lee from Huntsville do it one time. Yes, we have. John from Decatur. Dale Jackson. He's taking issue with the fact that Dale is worried about so Dale Jackson's son, Daddy, my leg hurts. Dale licks his gold tooth, says in his best Major Payne voice, you want me to make you forget about your leg hurting? Anyway, okay. Where are we at here? Gary from Athens. They can track down 1,000 people in a crowd on January 6th and arrest them, yet they can't find one person that brought cocaine to the White House. How stupid do they think we are? There you go. Speaking of which, let me jump back in. So I pulled this piece off of a website called the Center for Renewing America. Interesting stuff. And they call this a primer on the federal government weaponized against its own citizens. This came out in December of 2021, so it's a year and a half old. December of 2021, it says, in just 11 months, the Biden administration has shown a repeated pattern of hostility towards the U.S. Constitution and the citizenry it served. And then they walk through the examples. And by the way, these are legit, real examples of things they did or tried to do. Number one, the Internal Revenue Service wants access to your bank accounts. It says in order to finance the initial version of their radical $3.5 trillion Build Back Better reconciliation bill, the lawmakers included a provision that would have required financial institutions to report every transaction of $600 or more for individual bank accounts. In other words, if you bought a new flat screen TV with your bank account, they had to report it to the IRS. Why? Because they're hiring 87,000 IRS agents. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to be auditing everything that moves. It says the provision did receive intense backlash. It was revised to cover $10,000 transactions. Wow. Okay. How about this one? Remember this? The Department of Justice thinks concerned parents are domestic terrorists. September of 2021, the National School Boards Association sent a letter to the Department of Justice requesting federal assistance in targeting concerned parents at local school board meetings. And disturbingly, the NSBA letter suggested that parents, many angry over the teaching of critical race theory and mask mandates and prolonged school closures, were potentially guilty of domestic terrorism. And instead of the FBI going, We got bigger fish to fry. Thank you very much. They began to look into it. How about that? How about this one? The Department of Labor wants to penalize and investigate your workplace. Remember the vaccine mandates? OSHA was excited about it too. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, released its emergency temporary standards in November of 2021 that would have unlawfully and unconstitutionally mandated that every employer with more than 100 employees force its employees to receive the COVID vaccine. If they didn't do it, it would face a $13,653 fine. I don't know where they got the number per violation, and up to a $136,530 fine for any willful or repeated noncompliance. Meaning, we've checked your business and we can't find any record of your vaccines for your 10 employees. That's going to be $136,000, please. First time. You tell them to pound sand. Yeah, we're coming back next month, and buddy, that's going to be another $136,000 per person. They're just going to try to run you in the ground. If that's not the weaponization of government, I don't know what is. But that's 2021. Now, we've got the fact, though, that FBI Director Chris Wray just gave testimony over the last couple of days to the House Judiciary Committee, and they went at it. And he was basically obfuscating. There were times when I get it. I mean, you don't want to get up there and badmouth your troops. So I guess I have to, having been in a position where you've got troops, you just don't want to be the guy who went to D.C. and threw them all under the bus. And they wanted him to throw them under the bus. But he also didn't take much accountability for himself. Number one, he was questioned on protecting the Bidens. I mean, here we are looking at friggin' cocaine in the White House. Marijuana, apparently twice in the White House last year. Hunter Biden using the name of Biden to shake down foreign governments. Joe Biden, as vice president, going over to Ukraine and then lo and behold, even saying on video how proud he was he got them to fire Ukraine, got them to fire the attorney general who was investigating the company that his son was on the board of. I mean, this is not us making crap up. This is them telling us. And yet we can't find really anything. Like what happened to the $5 million that Ukraine energy company Burisma apparently sent to Biden when he was vice president? Where'd it go? Oh, we're not looking into that, apparently. How about this one? Were there FBI assets at the January 6th Capitol riot? You know there were. And yet, he won't answer that question. Here is Representative Andy Biggs. I think he's actually the chairman of the Freedom Caucus in the House, asking Director Wray, were there indeed agents or human resources present in the Capitol complex or in the vicinity on January 6th? Wray says it's going to get confusing. Depends on when we deployed. And then Biggs says, you and I both know what we're talking about. And Wray says, again, I'm not sure I can give you that number as I sit here. I'm not sure there were undercover agents. And Biggs said, I find that a remarkable statement, Director. At this point, you don't know if there were undercover FBI agents in the crowd in the Capitol on January 6th? And Wray says, I want to be careful with this. There have been a number of court filings. I want to make sure the story, it's just, were there or were there not? He could easily say there were not. But he has chosen not to say that. Tells you a lot, doesn't it? How about this one? Our own Representative Barry Moore, congressman from Alabama, been on this show several times. I was proud to serve with him in Montgomery. He asked Wray the question, why would the FBI offer Christopher Steele $1 million to verify a dossier about Trump-Russia collusion, and then the same FBI offer $3 million to Twitter to squash the story on the Hunter Biden laptop? Wray did not have a good answer for that. How about Representative Chip Roy? You see, folks, I'm telling you, these all happened. We're not making this up. And I'll tell you in a minute here, the liberal media wants you believe that it's all made up. But how about when Representative Chip Roy asked Director Wray why the FBI sent 20 armed FBI agents to the house of a single pro-life activist a year after he had been accused of just getting in a scuffle with somebody on the sidewalk outside of an abortion center. And Ray said, well, I won't question the decisions about the way and the manner in which they do the arrests in the field. And he goes, well, do you have a decision? Do you have a recommendation or a sense of it now? And I'm not going to second guess the judgment of our career agents. Look, sir, you got this. How about this one? And I'll make this the last one. Radical traditional Catholics. Remember that one? That's pretty recent. When the FBI came out with a memo that was discovered by a whistleblower, they basically said they were looking at putting agents into churches to find out whether there were radical Catholics. Folks, that's not supposed to be happening. Now, the media wants you to believe that this is bunk. The media wants you to believe this ain't happening. The media wants you to believe that Republicans, according to Glenn Altshuler writing in The Hill just 2 days ago, last week, actually, I'm sorry, that Republicans are just weaponization wannabes, reprising their false claims about the 2020 election, the big lie, and then the rush to prove Democratic weaponization. They say they're going way beyond the pale. Well, never mind the fact that CNN comes out and just basically totes the water, according to Daily Wire, of Director Ray, literally saying things like, there's like an alternate universe out there when they believe these things. We're not making it up. It's documented. It's real. And we just want to know why it happened. And what we want to know is, when we wake up tomorrow, can we trust our government? What we want to know is, can we say unequivocally that our government works for us? Can we please get back to the point that we can believe that the bureaucracy, the deep state, if you will, and those who are elected to oversee actually have our best interests at heart? That's all we want. We're not talking. Can we please enforce the law so that if January 6th, which by the way was wrong, if January 6th happens, that we can expect that the BLM riot will have the same level of prosecution? Can we just please expect that if somebody leaves cocaine in the White House, that you'll pursue it the same way you would avidly pursue people whose cell phones were pinging anywhere near January 6th? Because right now, what it feels like is, if you're a conservative, you're on the difficult end of a weaponization of government, especially in the Biden era. All right, we're going to take a break right now. We'll come right back. I'll put a lid on that one, catch up on some text messages, see where we are. And folks, I'm just telling you, I believe government has a place. I do. It's got a role. Even Jesus said, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. He didn't say overthrow Caesar. But what I'm saying is, we also need to know that we can trust who's there. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right, making common sense a superpower. So, hey, I just happened to glance over at Twitter during the break. By the way, if you ever go on Twitter, you can live stream the show on Twitter too. By the way, the video and all is out there. You can follow me at Sin SEN Phil Williams at Sin Phil Williams. But I just noticed that our friend Barry Moore, Congressman Barry Moore from South Alabama, is actually posted today that he was on Newsmax today on their show called The American Agenda. But he was on Newsmax today. He just posted it talking about the weaponization of government. Just saying. Apparently, great minds think alike. But yeah, he talked about pro-life parents, Catholic parishioners, concerned parents. He said they've all been targeted by a weaponized FBI, and I joined Newsmax today to talk about why Americans' trust in the FBI is tanking. There is that. Let me see what other text messages we have in here that I didn't get to before. Earlier in the show, we had Boomer and Sparky. I thought Spark did a great job too, didn't you? I mean, he just did. It was
I loved having him on.
Yeah, good stuff. But JT from Lacey Springs said, with regards to me telling you to say War Eagle, he says, Boomer, say go Bearcats. Nobody says go Bearcats.
Bearcats.
That's Cincinnati. Mark from Red Bay said, been a Bama fan all my life. I've been a fan of Tommy Tuberville since he coached at Ole Miss. I think he's making a great senator. So all I can say is roll, coach, roll.
Okay. I like it. There we go.
I like what he did. Okay, that's it. Leanne from Huntsville, with regards to Rough Leanne, liking the fact that we were bringing in, sometimes bringing our ruffians in to be on the show, says, here, Rough Leanne. I completely agree. Glenn from Bluntsville says, sir, you're being very hostile today with this business of trying to make Boomer say War Eagle and then bashing the Air Force. It was all done in love, Glenn. It's all done in love. Doman from Harvest also said, leave the Air Force alone. Oh, God. I'm hitting all the nerves, apparently, today. Trina from Elkmont. With regards to the cocaine in the White House, they were thinking it was ricin. If security knew it was cocaine, we would have never known about it. Like, oh crap! It wasn't ricin. It was cocaine. Steve from Owens Crossroads said, to quote an acronym from our military grandfathers, SNAFU. But I hope and pray that all Americans are fed up and start demanding answers. There you go. Jeff from Indiana goes, there's your new segment, Phil. Boomer and the Random Ruffian. That wasn't random. That was hand selected.
Selected.
What do we got here? Moving on up a little bit. Gator from Russellville. He's talking about the cocaine. He says, maybe it belonged to Corn Pop. Corn Pop's a bad dude. Had a chain.
Me and Corn Pop are close.
Corn Pop. Corn Pop. Had a chain. Oh, my gosh. Roughly Ann from Huntsville again says, didn't Kamala hang out with Mayor Brown? The mayor was very lenient on drug pushers. I'm sure Cam has a nose in that. Okay, John from Brownsboro came back and said, they wanted Trump's taxes. I want the toxicology report on the White House. The way the story plays out, there was a drop that wasn't picked up. Leave none out. And then he goes on, and Jeremy from Huntsville says, Martin Luther King Boulevard is packed going both directions, south and north, near 565. So those of y'all in the Huntsville area traveling on MLK, it's packed both ways, he says, like stymied apparently. That just came in the last few minutes. And then lastly, I will say, John from Huntsville says, Phil wins today's show with an A triple plus for putting on an awesome show, and I gave you extra credit for talking about the White House cocaine story. Sparky gets second place trophy with an A double plus, and Boomer comes in third plus with an A minus. It says, sorry, Boomer, all you had to do was say War Eagle, and you could have won.
I could have won if
John
I said
from
those
Huntsville.
words.
We're back in his good graces. That's good. I don't know that I've ever had a C minus, but the one time.
But that one time?
One time. Crushed my soul. It's a good thing I threw that extra mini dipper in there. All right. Hey, listen, tomorrow on the show, I got several guests already lined up. We're going to spend some time talking about school choice. What are they scared of? And by the way, did you know that absenteeism is like almost sanctioned in the state of Alabama? Kind of weird. And how do you possibly say that you've gotten somebody to the next level for education if they're allowed to be gone that many days in a school year? Pure absenteeism. I got a guy coming on to talk about that. But yeah, Alabama, once again, is still ranking low on the overall scores for education. As we watch other states passing school choice legislation, as we watch other states, rising in the ranks, we got to do something. And doing the same old, that's the definition of insanity. Stay tuned for tomorrow. All right, you folks, have an amazing night. We love you. You're why we do this. We'll see you tomorrow, too.